Some memories never fade. They have fur, bright eyes, and the gift of loving us without saying a word. Because every dog carries a story, and maybe a part of yours. Get ready to discover more than a breed. Discover a lifelong companion.
Do you remember the last time you felt truly welcomed by a simple and genuine gesture, something that comforted you without words, just with someone's presence or perhaps of a special being? Now imagine this being a dog capable of perceiving your emotions, of approaching during moments of sadness and, without demanding much, just offering its silent company. This is what many call canine therapy. And throughout history, few breeds have stood out as much in this role as the Golden Retriever and the Labrador. In modern life, where the frenetic pace and emotional challenges are constantly at our door, finding comfort and solace seems to be more difficult than ever. However, some dog breeds with their extraordinary empathy abilities have managed to conquer a fundamental space in emotional therapies. They are not just pets, they are therapists, friends, and often the true silent heroes. The Golden Retriever, with its calm and affability, and the Labrador, with its contagious energy and sensitivity, have been protagonists of this story. But what makes these two breeds so special when it comes to therapies? What is there in them that goes beyond their physical and behavioral characteristics, something that makes thousands of people around the world benefit from their presence in moments of emotional and physical need? Studies prove that dogs have a unique ability to connect with human beings in a profound way, often offering an understanding that transcends words. They can detect emotions, understand the need for proximity, and provide comfort without any judgment. But to be fair, not all dogs possess the ability to act as therapists. This requires much more than good disposition. It requires patience, empathy, and a predisposition to be more than a simple pet. Therefore, breeds like the Golden Retriever and the Labrador stand out. These breeds, specially trained to act as therapy dogs, have demonstrated exceptional abilities in clinical environments, hospitals, nursing homes, and with people dealing with emotional disorders. What exactly makes these dogs adapt so well to different types of therapies? It's a combination of temperament, intelligence, and of course the ability to understand human pain, whether physical or emotional. But before we explore the depths of what makes these breeds so effective, it's essential to understand the general role that dogs play in the world of therapy. Throughout history, dogs have always been by our side. Since antiquity, their relationship with us was based on companionship and assistance. But canine therapy emerged as a specific area only in recent decades. And in this new field, some breeds stood out for their unique characteristics. Therapy dogs are not just trained to perform simple tasks like fetching objects or helping with mobility. They are prepared to help in emotional recovery, to provide comfort and psychological support, and even to act in moments of extreme vulnerability, such as those experienced by patients in hospitals or elderly people in nursing homes. The demand for dogs like the Golden Retriever and the Labrador in these contexts has grown, and their abilities can be observed in many success stories around the world. Now imagine being in a clinical environment, a hospital or a rehabilitation center, facing the weight of an illness or emotional problem. In the midst of this, a dog like the Golden Retriever approaches with its calm expression and welcoming gaze. There's no need for words. Its presence, the gentle touch of its paw, its ability to perceive what you feel, is what begins to relieve the weight of the situation. This is the type of therapy we are about to explore, the type of relief that many patients have already experienced. However, there's something you don't know yet about the true impact of these dogs on emotional therapy, and although it seems simple, it's much deeper than we can imagine. It's not just what these dogs do, but how they do it. Are we just seeing a reflection of the human capacity to want to find comfort, or is there something deeper happening when these dogs act as therapists? In the next segment, we will explore how these two breeds stand out within the therapeutic context, but prepare to discover something surprising. There's a specific ability they possess that makes their therapeutic work much more effective than most other dogs. Something that goes beyond training or behavior. Something that connects directly with the deepest aspects of the human psyche. Now that you are aware of how these breeds have conquered the world of therapy, the big question is, what exactly makes them the best in this area? Stay tuned, as the answers to this question may surprise you. In the previous part, we talked about the importance of the role of therapy dogs and began to explore how breeds like the Golden Retriever and the Labrador stand out in this context. But what exactly makes these dogs so special, not just in terms of temperament, but also in their unique emotional support abilities? Imagine for a moment the scene of a patient in a hospital, surrounded by machines and constant noises, but then suddenly the silence is broken by the gentle presence of a Labrador. It enters the room with calm steps, serene gaze, and a contagious peace that seems to calm even the most agitated hearts. This is the moment when the true power of these dogs begins to reveal itself. What many don't know is that therapy dogs don't just act as emotional relief, but also as active healing agents. There's a deep physical and mental connection between humans and dogs, which goes beyond a simple caress. Studies demonstrate that when a therapy dog like the Golden Retriever enters the scene, it triggers a series of neurochemical reactions in the human brain. Their simple presence increases oxytocin levels, the happiness hormone, and reduces cortisol, the stress hormone. But what really differentiates these two breeds? The Golden Retriever, with its sweet and peaceful nature, has a unique ability to perceive the vulnerability of its owners and act as an emotional stabilizer. Its empathy is almost instinctive. The Labrador, although equally affectionate, brings with it a vibrant energy that can be the key to animating even the most withdrawn individuals. The combination of positive energy with immediate calm when necessary makes it stand out in environments that require both attributes. However, the true magic of these dogs is not just in their external behavior, but in the way they are trained. The training is not just physical, but also emotional. They are taught to read subtle signs, like the accelerated breathing of an anxious patient or the slow movements of someone in recovery, adjusting according to what the situation requires. Now let's think about the characteristics that make these breeds so suitable for these roles. Firstly, the Golden Retriever is widely known for its infinite patience. Its tendency to be affectionate and calm makes it ideal for patients who are dealing with pain, loneliness, or emotional problems. But at the same time, its sharp intelligence and willingness to learn make it incredibly effective in structured therapies, such as those involving physical rehabilitation. On the other hand, the Labrador Retriever is naturally extroverted, which makes it an excellent dog for environments where energy and social interaction are fundamental. Its ability to connect with different people, especially those who need stronger emotional interaction, makes it the ideal choice to support patients with disorders like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, or people in rehabilitation treatment. It's at this point that a fundamental question arises. Could it be that these dogs are fulfilling a role that goes beyond what we imagine? Is there something deeper happening when a Labrador or a Golden Retriever acts as a therapy dog? The truth may be more surprising than many think. Although many believe that the presence of a therapy dog is just an act of companionship, what really occurs is an almost transcendental interaction. When observing these dogs in action, many therapists have noticed that the bond between human and animal is not just an emotional exchange, but also a process of re-signifying the patient's own suffering. When interacting with these dogs, individuals often revisit and reconstruct their emotions, overcoming blocks that could be insurmountable without the presence of a being so attentive, so pure in its connection. And now we ask ourselves, could it be that the impact of these dogs goes beyond what can be seen at first sight? In the next segment, we will delve even deeper into this fascinating question. What do these dogs really do to improve a person's mental health at such a deep level? What's happening in the human mind when these dogs are around? If you're fascinated by how the Golden Retriever and the Labrador play such crucial roles in therapy, don't miss the next segment, where we'll explore even more the emotional effects of this connection. And if you've already had the chance to experience the power of a therapy dog, share your stories with us in the comments below. When we think of therapy dogs, the first thing that comes to mind is the warm behavior and affectionate interaction they demonstrate. But what many don't know is that behind this friendly and calm appearance, there's meticulous and profound training that allows these dogs to play such fundamental roles in emotional therapy. The training of a therapy dog begins long before it enters any clinical or hospital environment. From puppies, the most common breeds for therapy, like the Golden Retriever and the Labrador, go through an intense socialization process. They are introduced to a variety of scenarios, people and stimuli, always with the goal of helping them adapt to different situations. This includes contact with children, elderly people, people with special needs, as well as other animals. The Golden Retriever, with its friendly and balanced nature, is trained to respond to basic obedience commands, but the real challenge lies in its ability to recognize and react appropriately to human emotional signals. These dogs need to be able to perceive when someone is anxious, sad, or even in physical pain. They don't just respond to commands like sit or stay, but also learn to use their intuition to know when to approach a person and offer the type of interaction they need. The Labrador, with its immense energy and empathetic nature, needs to learn to balance its natural excitement with the need to offer a calm and soothing presence. Its training involves not just teaching commands, but also how to moderate its energy so as not to emotionally overwhelm the person it's interacting with. The Labrador, for example, learns to be active when necessary, like helping a patient move or fetch something, but also to relax when perceiving that the person needs comfort and tranquility. The training of these therapy dogs is composed of a combination of technical training and fundamentally emotional training. These dogs are taught to identify subtle signs of discomfort, whether a deep sigh or a change in breathing, and to react in a way that brings relief, whether with a gentle approach or with the simple act of lying down beside the person. But the training doesn't stop there. They also need to be prepared to work in highly challenging environments, such as hospitals crowded with people, rehabilitation centers with loud and agitated sounds, or even nursing homes where the environment can be lonely and desolate. The ability to remain calm, serene, and effective in all these situations is something that requires constant practice and rigorous discipline. Most of these dogs, like Labradors and Golden Retrievers, are trained by specialized professionals who focus not just on physical and behavioral skills, but also on the dog's emotional development. Trainers use techniques based on positive reinforcement, rewarding the dog with affection and treats when it responds correctly to stimuli and interactions. But, although the training is intensive, the true essence of the therapy dog is not something that can be forced. There's an innate connection between these dogs and humans, a silent understanding that goes beyond training. This is reflected in what many therapists call intuitive response, when the dog senses that a person needs support and approaches without being asked, offering a comforting presence. It's this unique emotional bond between dog and human that makes these dogs so effective in the role of therapists. And although training is vital to ensure they can handle a variety of situations and respond correctly, what really distinguishes them is their capacity for empathy and perception. But could it be that this ability to detect human emotions is something that can be learned, or is it a natural quality? In the next segment, we'll explore this intriguing question more deeply. Could it be that the empathy of these dogs is innate, or is it that through training they learn to connect emotionally so deeply with humans? And what is the real impact of this connection on people's emotional and physical recovery? If you're curious to know more about the training of therapy dogs and what really happens when they spring into action, keep following. Don't forget to comment below if you've already had the experience of interacting with a therapy dog and how it impacted your life. When we talk about therapy dogs, like the Golden Retriever and the Labrador, the question that always arises is, what is the real impact that these dogs have on the mental and physical health of the people they interact with? The answer, as you will see, goes beyond a simple emotional interaction. These dogs are, in fact, agents of transformation. Their impact is profound, affecting aspects of the body and mind that many don't imagine. Studies have demonstrated that the simple presence of a therapy dog can significantly reduce anxiety and stress levels. This is particularly evident in environments like hospitals or rehabilitation clinics, where patients are dealing with physical pain, loneliness, or even anxiety, regarding medical treatments. The calm presence of a Golden Retriever, for example, can help alleviate tension and create a relaxation environment, which facilitates the patient's recovery. On the other hand, the Labrador, with its contagious energy, has the power to motivate patients who need physical stimulus, whether to walk, move, or even perform rehabilitation therapies. These dogs not only help improve people's mood, but also play an active role in physical recovery. By encouraging a patient to get up and interact, they become part of a much more comprehensive therapeutic process. What many don't know is that when interacting with these dogs, the human brain releases important chemicals for well-being. Oxytocin, known as the love hormone, is released, promoting a sense of comfort and security. Additionally, cortisol levels, the stress hormone, decrease significantly. This creates a sense of calm that is vital for recovery, both emotional and physical. For those living with anxiety disorders, depression, or post-traumatic stress disorders, PTSD, the impact of therapy dogs can be even more significant. Studies demonstrate that the presence of a dog can help reduce the symptoms of these conditions, providing immediate relief. Imagine, for example, a war veteran dealing with flashbacks and anxiety. When a therapy Labrador approaches, with its calm and friendly nature, there's an immediate physiological and emotional change. This simple gesture of proximity can create a sense of security, a relief from mental tension. But as we've already mentioned, the true strength of therapy dogs is not limited to immediate comfort. When the interaction continues over time, the benefits accumulate. Patients who regularly interact with therapy dogs experience significant improvements in their general well-being. They report fewer symptoms of depression, a greater sense of social connection, and even faster recovery from medical procedures, all driven by the emotional connection with these dogs. However, while the emotional benefits are obvious, what many don't realize is how much the presence of a therapy dog can improve physical recovery. There are many reports of patients who, when accompanied by dogs during physiotherapy, feel more motivated to actively participate in their treatments. Dogs like the Labrador, known for their vibrant energy, help stimulate patients, encouraging them to perform movements they might not do if they were alone. These dogs play the role of invisible motivators who go beyond simple emotional assistance. They make the therapeutic experience more engaging, fun, and accessible, breaking down the barriers of pain and discomfort that many patients feel during recovery. But could it be that the impact of these dogs goes even further than we can perceive? What if I told you that the therapeutic relationship between these dogs and patients is not just a short-term interaction, but a transformation over time? In the next segment, we'll explore a fascinating question: how this deep and continuous relationship between dog and human can transform over time, and what it can reveal about the emotional connection between the two species. If you're impressed with the effects that therapy dogs have on emotional and physical health, continue with us to discover how these interactions develop over time and what is the real impact of the presence of these dogs in long-term treatment. Leave your comment below sharing how you think a therapy dog could impact your life or the life of someone you know. As we advance, we can see that the presence of a therapy dog is more than a simple occasional interaction. The relationship between patient and dog goes beyond a momentary benefit. It's a deep and transformative emotional connection. But what really happens when this connection is established and strengthened over time? What does it mean to have a dog like this by your side, day after day, during a therapeutic process? When a person begins to interact regularly with a therapy dog, like the Golden Retriever or the Labrador, this relationship begins to evolve. What starts as a simple gesture of comfort transforms into a rich and complex emotional exchange. Initially, the person may feel an immediate connection, a temporary relief from their worries and fears. However, over time, the relationship with the dog deepens. Research demonstrates that dogs have the ability to create lasting emotional bonds with human beings, something that goes beyond simple affection. This relationship has the capacity to rescue the patient from negative emotional states, often helping them overcome old traumas or psychological blocks that would otherwise be difficult to address. For example, a patient suffering from chronic depression may feel trapped in a cycle of negative emotions with no way out. However, the constant presence of a Labrador, with its contagious energy and ability to connect emotionally, can provide the necessary impulse for the patient to begin believing again in the possibility of change. Over time, the patient begins to perceive that, through this connection, their own perception of themselves and the world around them also changes. Additionally, Golden Retrievers, known for their calm and empathetic nature, have the power to help patients feel more emotionally secure. The confidence that these dogs instill in their owners accumulates over time. They not only offer immediate comfort, but create a safe space where patients can begin to open up, explore their emotions, and even confront painful situations that were kept hidden. As days and weeks pass, this connection becomes deeper. The patient begins to associate the dog with the feeling of well-being and security, making the animal's presence an emotional anchor. This has a significant impact on how the patient deals with emotional challenges. The dog's presence goes far beyond simple support. It becomes a constant source of emotional strength and stability. But what happens when this relationship intensifies? In many cases, the therapy dog, with its capacity for perception and empathy, can help patients explore deep emotional layers. As many therapy dogs are especially trained to deal with situations of high emotional charge, they help create a space where the patient can feel free to express difficult feelings without fear of judgment. This process of emotional catharsis becomes fundamental for the therapeutic process, allowing the patient to release tensions and begin a true healing journey. However, throughout this journey, a crucial moment may arise: vulnerability. The deep connection with the dog can expose fears, insecurities, and old traumas that the patient didn't know were so present. In this moment, the dog's role becomes even more essential. It not only offers emotional support, but also serves as a facilitator of transformation. Could it be that emotional transformation is the only impact that these therapy dogs provide? Or could it be that there's something even deeper happening when these dogs enter the scene? In the next segment, we'll explore a fascinating aspect of the connection between dogs and human beings, something that goes beyond conventional understanding. What happens in the human brain when a therapy dog approaches? How does our emotional system respond to their presence in such a powerful way? If you're beginning to understand the profound impact of the constant presence of a therapy dog, don't miss the next segment, where we'll address how the human brain reacts to this interaction and what this means for emotional treatment. Share in the comments how you believe the emotional connection with a therapy dog can help someone overcome emotional barriers. Throughout the previous parts, we explored how dogs like the Golden Retriever and Labrador become silent heroes in emotional therapy. But there's something even more fascinating happening behind the scenes of this connection between dog and human being. What happens in the brain when a therapy dog enters the room and interacts with a patient? How does our emotional system respond to this apparently simple but extremely powerful exchange? When we talk about emotional connection between human beings and dogs, we're not just dealing with a physical or affective interaction. In fact, the interaction between therapy dogs and their owners triggers chemical and physiological changes in the human brain, which are responsible for much of the benefits that these dogs provide. For example, the simple presence of a therapy dog has the power to increase oxytocin levels, the hormone responsible for the feeling of love and emotional bonding. Oxytocin is often called the love hormone because it's involved in various human bonding interactions, from a mother nursing her baby to romantic interactions. When patients interact with a therapy dog, this hormone is released, promoting a sense of well-being and calm. This explains in part the immediate relief that many patients feel when a dog like the Golden Retriever approaches them. The human's emotional response to the dog is instinctive and highly positive, creating an instant emotional bond. On the other hand, the reduction of cortisol, the stress hormone, is also an important physical response that occurs when patients are in the company of therapy dogs. Cortisol is released when we're under stress or anxiety, and high levels of this hormone can have harmful effects on health. The dog's presence, by stimulating oxytocin production and reducing cortisol, helps minimize emotional and physical tension, allowing the patient to feel more relaxed and, often, more open to the therapeutic process. This chemical interaction is not just a momentary reaction. It has long-term effects on the brain. Patients who regularly interact with therapy dogs tend to experience constant improvement in their mental health. Oxytocin continues to act, creating a sense of security and trust, which can be crucial for people facing problems like anxiety or depression. Over time, the emotional connection with the dog helps rebuild neural patterns in the brain, allowing the patient to deal more effectively with their emotions and past traumas. This process is even more evident in people with disorders like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. For patients facing the devastating effects of flashbacks and other physical responses to stress, the presence of a therapy dog offers a previously unthinkable form of emotional recovery. The interaction with the dog helps restore confidence and offers a safe foundation on which the patient can begin to process their feelings in a more balanced way. Additionally, training and interaction with dogs like the Labrador have the ability to improve a patient's cognitive functionality. Dogs that are trained to perform specific tasks, like helping with mobility or fetching objects, help stimulate the brain and promote a positive cognitive experience. This is especially important in rehabilitation environments, where the patient's mind needs to be engaged in the recovery process. Although the brain impact is clear, the social effect of this interaction also cannot be ignored. Therapy dogs, especially breeds like the Golden Retriever, are extremely sociable. They attract people, often breaking social barriers and helping patients open up to other people. This positive social interaction is fundamental for those who may feel isolated due to emotional or mental problems. The connection with the dog serves as a bridge to human interactions, allowing patients to develop social skills that may have been damaged by past traumas. But there's something even deeper about how the human brain responds to a dog's touch. In moments of extreme vulnerability, such as during treatment for a serious illness or after psychological trauma, the simple act of petting the soft fur of a Labrador or Golden Retriever can activate brain areas associated with pain reduction and emotional tension relief. Touch, along with emotional connection, can have an immediate healing impact on the body's physiological responses, promoting a sense of relief that other forms of therapy may not be able to offer so effectively. As we explore this brain and emotional connection further, we can begin to understand why these dog breeds have such extraordinary effectiveness. But the question that remains is, could it be that the connection between human and dog goes beyond chemical and emotional aspects? Is there something deeper that dogs are doing for us? Something that science still can't completely explain? If you're fascinated by the way therapy dogs affect the human brain so profoundly, stay tuned for the next segment, where we'll explore how this connection transcends biology and enters the field of true emotional transformation. Leave in the comments how you believe the connection between a therapy dog and a patient can be even more powerful than any other type of emotional support. When we think about the function of therapy dogs, many of us imagine a comforting presence, someone who can alleviate emotional pain and help create an environment of calm. However, the real impact of these dogs goes far beyond simple companionship. They play a fundamental role in the recovery from emotional and physical traumas, helping patients face and overcome barriers that often seemed insurmountable. Let's consider a concrete example. Imagine a war veteran dealing with the effects of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. For many of these individuals, days are frequently filled with flashbacks, nightmares, and a constant feeling of fear. In many cases, the simple idea of leaving home or interacting with other people can be an enormous challenge. However, the presence of a therapy Labrador can function as an anchor, offering a point of emotional and physical balance. The Labrador, with its vibrant energy, and the Golden Retriever, with its calm and empathy, help restructure the patient's emotional response. When a patient is immersed in a moment of emotional crisis, the dog can act as an emotional intermediary, providing immediate comfort and acting as a channel for the expression of repressed feelings. The interaction with these dogs goes beyond simple physical contact. They allow the patient to release emotional tensions without fear of judgment or stigmatization. The beauty of this process lies in the fact that these dogs don't just comfort, but also facilitate emotional processing. Their presence creates a safe and welcoming environment where the patient can begin to rebuild confidence in themselves and others. They help create a sense of emotional security, allowing patients, often for the first time, to face their deepest fears with courage. Additionally, therapy dogs have proven extremely effective in the physical rehabilitation of patients who are recovering from injuries or surgeries. For example, during the rehabilitation process, a patient may have difficulty performing the basic movements required by the physiotherapist. The presence of a therapy dog, like a Golden Retriever, can be the necessary motivation for the patient to get out of bed and begin moving the body more fluidly. The dog, with its calm and encouraging behavior, acts as a kind of emotional motivator, helping the patient overcome the fear of pain and move forward with their treatment. The relationship between therapy dogs and patients is indeed unique. They not only help reduce anxiety, but also encourage physical movement, which accelerates recovery. During physiotherapy, the dog can interact in various ways with the patient, such as fetching objects or even helping to pull patients with wheelchairs, encouraging them to move more quickly. This type of active interaction is one of the reasons why therapy dogs have been so effective in the recovery of people with debilitating physical and emotional conditions. However, the true transformation happens when the dog is not just a facilitator of physical movements or a comforting presence, but when it becomes a constant companion, part of a healing process that goes beyond traditional therapy. And could it be that this relationship is really the key to a new understanding about human recovery? In the next segments, we'll explore how the constant presence of these dogs can create lasting changes in patients' lives, and what makes this process so unique and often irreversible. After all, what is the true depth of this relationship between human being and therapy dog? If you're beginning to understand the emotional and physical impact that therapy dogs have on trauma recovery, keep following. Share your own experiences with dog interaction in therapies, or if you know someone who has benefited from this emotional connection. As we advance in our journey through the effectiveness of therapy dogs, we begin to perceive something even deeper: the personal transformation that occurs within patients. It's not just about momentary relief or temporary improvement in mood. The presence of a therapy dog can, in fact, rebuild a person's self-confidence, something essential for those dealing with traumas or challenging situations. Imagine a patient who for months or even years felt incapable of trusting themselves or the world around them. Each day is a fight against negative thoughts and feelings of inadequacy. But then, a therapy Labrador enters the scene with its welcoming gaze and contagious energy. In a simple interaction, the dog transmits a silent message: "You are not alone." This connection, although discreet, can be the key to unlocking lost confidence. The process of recovering self-confidence is not easy, but therapy dogs like the Golden Retriever help patients take the first steps. The way the dog responds to their presence, with patience and welcome, teaches the patient to trust again, to allow themselves to receive love without reservations. This, in turn, allows the patient to open up emotionally, something fundamental for them to heal and move forward in life. Over time, the relationship with the therapy dog becomes stronger. The patient begins to perceive that the dog not only accompanies them, but understands them. They develop a silent bond of trust that reflects in daily life. The patient begins to feel more secure in their interactions with others, in their ability to face challenges, and even in their ability to make important decisions. And this process is not limited to patients who are recovering from serious traumas. Personal transformation can be experienced by anyone who has a therapy dog by their side, whether in a situation of chronic stress, anxiety, or even in moments of loneliness. The power of the emotional presence of these dogs is so strong that often the simple act of being with them can help the patient overcome fears that would otherwise be paralyzing. Think, for example, of a person with social anxiety disorder. For these people, simple interactions can be incredibly challenging. However, when accompanied by a therapy dog like the Labrador, they feel they have a reliable companion by their side. The dog becomes not just emotional support, but also a facilitator of social interactions, allowing the patient to feel more comfortable in situations that were previously uncomfortable. The true magic of the therapy dog is that it's capable of bringing out innate qualities in human beings: empathy, patience, and confidence. The Golden Retriever, for example, not only offers companionship, but also teaches patients to be patient with themselves. It acts as an emotional mirror, silently reflecting the type of unconditional love that many people need to rediscover themselves. But there's something more that therapy dogs do that's even more surprising. Besides helping rebuild confidence, they also have the power to strengthen the patient's identity. Often, people who are dealing with emotional traumas or difficult situations can feel lost, not knowing who they are or what their purpose is. The dog's presence offers something much deeper, a sense of renewed identity, a constant reminder that the patient is worthy of love and care. In the next segment, we'll explore how this journey of personal reconquest not only strengthens the patient's confidence, but also creates a significant transformation in their life. What are the true implications of this deep emotional journey? And how can it be the turning point that many people need to achieve full recovery? If you're beginning to understand how therapy dogs help rebuild confidence and strengthen patients' identity, don't miss the next segment, where we'll deepen the emotional transformation that occurs with these dogs. Share below your own experiences with therapy dogs, or how you believe this connection can help someone overcome life's challenges. As we explore the effects of therapy dogs, we begin to perceive that the transformation they provide is not just temporary. The emotional, psychological, and even physiological impacts that occur over time are profound and lasting. When a patient connects with a therapy dog like the Golden Retriever or the Labrador, this relationship becomes an essential part of their healing journey, a journey that continues long after the end of therapy sessions. The constant presence of a therapy dog helps the patient rebuild their self-esteem, their sense of security, and most importantly, their general well-being. But the true transformation begins to occur when the patient begins to perceive that they're no longer just being supported. They begin to rely on the bond with the dog, creating a more solid emotional foundation that accompanies them in all areas of life. The Golden Retriever, with its unconditional love and calm, and the Labrador with its contagious energy, are both catalysts of this profound change. They help the person reconnect with themselves, teaching the patient to be patient and gentle with themselves. For those facing daily challenges such as anxiety disorders or depression, the relationship with the therapy dog offers a space where the patient can be who they really are, without fear of judgments or criticisms. This transformation process is not linear. It happens gradually, with each interaction with the dog being an opportunity for the patient to grow emotionally. Therapy dogs don't just help heal emotional wounds, but also strengthen the patient's resilience, making them more capable of dealing with life's adversities in a more balanced and confident way. Over time, the dog's presence becomes more than a simple therapeutic interaction. The therapy dog transforms into a constant companion, a reliable being who will be there in moments of need and often in moments of tranquility. This creates a cycle of self-acceptance and self-care that is fundamental for the patient's emotional growth. These dogs are not just momentary healing agents, they are long-term partners in a journey of continuous recovery. The long-term benefits of therapy dogs manifest not only in emotional improvement, but also in how the patient relates to the world around them. The confidence acquired through this interaction continues to expand to other areas of life, helping the patient build new relationships, deal with daily challenges, and maintain stronger and more balanced general well-being. They are not just temporary healers, they are facilitators of a lasting transformation that influences the patient at every stage of their recovery. These effects are not merely emotional, but also reflect in how the patient behaves in their daily life. Many patients who went through this journey with a therapy dog report significant changes in their attitudes toward work, relationships, and even social life. Over time, they become more resilient, more open to new challenges, and more prone to seek help when necessary. Now, imagine the depth of this transformation. A person who previously couldn't even leave home or socialize due to trauma or emotional disorder begins to experience not only relief from negative emotions, but also the renewal of their worldview. The therapy dog becomes a fundamental part of this new life cycle, helping to reinforce the sense of belonging and emotional balance. The true magic of these therapy dogs is the long trajectory of emotional growth they offer. They are not just a quick fix, but rather constant companionship, providing a support base that makes it possible for the patient to achieve complete and lasting recovery. And as the patient grows and advances, the dog remains by their side, being a constant source of healing and renewal. In the next segment, we'll conclude our journey and reflect on the general impact of canine therapy on so many people's lives. How can we apply these lessons in our own life? And what is the true value of the deep connection between human being and dog? If you're beginning to see how the emotional journey with a therapy dog can transform a person's life, keep following to understand how this experience can extend throughout life and bring lasting benefits. Comment below if you've already known or had the experience of living with a therapy dog and how it impacted your life. We've reached the end of our journey, and as we reflect on everything that has been explored so far, there's an important question that remains. What is the true value of the relationship between human being and therapy dog? During our walk, we saw how breeds like the Golden Retriever and Labrador play essential roles in the emotional and physical healing of many people. But their impact goes far beyond what we can see at first sight. These dogs, with their silent presence, their sensitive reactions, and their innate empathy, become more than just pets. They become healing companions, facilitators of transformation, and sources of emotional renewal. What many don't know is that, throughout their interaction with the dog, the patient begins to rebuild their life in a more balanced way, more open to love and support, more willing to face the future with courage. The relationship with a therapy dog is, in many cases, one of the deepest and truest experiences of human connection. Dogs, with their sharp intuition, not only detect the emotional needs of their owners, but respond with affection, patience, and compassion, creating a continuous cycle of healing. They are not just part of the treatment, they transform the healing experience, making it more human, more sensitive, and often more accessible. When we talk about emotional recovery, it's impossible to ignore the power of these dogs. They provide a safe space where the patient can express themselves, where they can find comfort, where they can finally begin to rebuild after trauma or emotional difficulty. And this transformation is not momentary. It persists often throughout the patient's life, positively impacting every aspect of their existence. Perhaps you have also identified with some moment of this journey. Perhaps you have already experienced the presence of a dog that provided comfort in moments of pain. Or perhaps you have seen up close the impact that a therapy dog can have on someone's life. What becomes clear is that the connection between human being and dog, especially in therapeutic contexts, is a unique experience. There's no denying the powerful transformation that occurs when these two species connect on a deep emotional level. As we conclude this journey, what remains for us is to reflect on the legacy of these dogs. They don't just heal wounds, but help restore the dignity and self-esteem of people who have them by their side. They offer more than support, they offer hope. And in doing so, they leave a lasting mark on each patient's life, becoming true silent heroes who, without asking for anything in return, completely surrender to the mission of healing. If you believe in the power of emotional connection between therapy dogs and human beings, share your story with us. Perhaps you have already experienced the transformative effect of a therapy dog, or maybe you're thinking of seeking this help. Don't hesitate to leave your comment below and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories about the impact of dogs in our lives.